Hello and welcome into the final drive here on DMVSTREAM.COM. I'm your host, Jeremy Huber, with another week of exciting high school football action in the district, Maryland and Virginia. And boy, howdy, folks, was it an exciting night. Some upsets, a lot of upsets in the top 10, in the top 5. We had upsets as well. It was a crazy night. Of course, last week it was crazy due to all the weather around the area. Well, tonight it was crazy because of the play. Parity in DMV football. We saw it tonight as we saw some squads with high rankings get knocked off. Obviously, you're going to see a little bit of that early in the season, but boy, did we see a lot of upsets. If you want to go ahead and hook up with us here on the final drive, you can go ahead and do it by tweeting us at DMVStream, hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. Again, that's DMVStream, hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. Well, let's go ahead and start right at the top with the top 20, the All-Met Sports Top 20. Number 1, DeMatha was off tonight, off this week, actually. They'll play their next game against LaSalle of Pennsylvania. I believe that finishes off their non-conference schedule. That one will be on September the 18th. There'll be a home game at the Prince George's Sports and Learning Center, LaSalle, Pennsylvania, a Philadelphia area powerhouse. Number 2 in the area, that would be Northwest. But the Jaguars shouldn't be number 2 after this week as they fall in the King's Trophy game. Seneca Valley knocks off the Jaguars 14-7. Fred Kim's bunch with the big win. Hoping to be joined by him on the show a little bit later on. Number 3, Good Counsel. They had a tough one tonight, but get the win, beating DePaul of New Jersey 42-28. It was number 4, Westfield, getting knocked off by number 10, South County, 26-19. This one might have been played a little bit more at Westfield's pace, at least where it came to the score, but the Stallions able to go ahead and get the win. DeAndre Clayton comes off the bench to throw 2 touchdown passes and lead a halftime comeback for the Stallions to improve their record to, I believe, 2-0 on the season, but they should move up the poll after a nice win over Westfield tonight. Number 5, Damascus and Jake Funk continue their run. Had the big win over Quince Orchard last week. They beat Rockville tonight 63-0. Number 6, St. John's falls to Steubenville of Ohio 22-14. Of course, Steubenville in Ohio power for a long time. They beat the Cadets tonight by that 22-14 score. Number 7, Lake Braddock, no trouble with Annandale. They win 40-0 tonight. Number 8, Old Mill, another easy win. They knock off Glen Burnie 42-6. Another upset in the top 10 tonight as Madison beat Stonebridge 35-24. If you're at all familiar with how things kind of switched around this year in Virginia, Stonebridge for years was in a district with schools like Langley, Madison, McLean. They moved them out to play against in a district with all Loudoun County schools this year, but Stonebridge kind of keeping some of those old teams they played in district as their non-district games. And the Warhawks, who always gave Stonebridge trouble, do it again tonight, knocking off the Bulldogs in Vienna 35-24. Number 11, Bullis had a bye. Their next game, September 18th, against Woodbury Forest. Of course, a pretty good Tigers team. We saw what they did to McNamara last week. Number 12, Duval, they play tomorrow against Northwestern, 2 p.m. kickoff. Number 13, Wise, following up their big win over Douglas with a 73-0 win over Parkdale. Number 14, Centerville beats Fairfax 28-6. It was number 15, Tuscarora, knocking off Hayfield 40-14. Huskies looking pretty good. Had the big win over Briarwoods to start the season. Now a quality win over Hayfield, district champion last year. Number 16, Douglas, falls to 0-2 on the season as they fall to Riverdale Baptist 17-8. We'll hear from head coach of the Crusaders, Caesar Nettles in just a bit on the show here on the final drive. Number 17, Quince Orchard, a win over Walter Johnson, 61-11. The Cougars bouncing back from their loss last week to Damascus pretty emphatically with the win over WJ. Number 18, Battlefield, moves to 3-0 on the year. They beat Woodbridge 27-3. Number 19, Broad Run, looking pretty good under head coach Matt Griffiths. They improved to 3-0 on the year with a 45-21 win over Langley. Number 20, Howard knocks off upstart Wildlake 35-0. Of course, Howard, the big cheese out there last year. Wildlake was coming off their surprising upset of River Hill last week. Pilati with a nice win tonight. They beat Avalon 22-20. It was Flint Hill over Paul VI, 21-14. These are some of your private school scores. John Paul the Great of Fredericksburg, a winner over Potomac School, 28-20. St. Mary's Riken with another nice win as they beat Mount St. Joseph 27-22 in the Brother Lambert Cup game. Of course, remember, Mount St. Joe's coming off a couple good wins already on the season, but St. Mary's Riken also rebounding after a tough early season loss. They come back and get the win tonight against Mount St. Joe's as they start getting ready and gearing up for their first year of WCAC play. Severn School beat St. Paul 24-9. It was Carroll over Ballou in the pigskin kickoff in D.C., 48-16. Carroll blew this one open late as Keon Singleton had a nice night for the Lions, 222 on the ground and 4 touchdowns. Coolidge beats McKinley 36-16. Big news in that one, the first win with the Colts for Steve Scott. Of course, Scott resigned over at H.D. Woodson so that Greg Fuller, the longtime coach of the Warriors, could come back into that program. Again, Scott with the win at Coolidge. Congratulations on that, his first as a Colt, 36-16 over McKinley. Wilson with a rout of Phelps tonight, 47-0. It was Sidwell Friends beating George Mason, a little private versus public action, 40-22 for the Quakers over the Mustangs. Sidwell Friends actually had that one 40-0 at one point. Big night. Ted Hefner had 265 throwing for Sidwell Friends, also 3 touchdown passes. Kip with a win over Cardozo tonight, 38-2. It was Annapolis in Maryland with a big win. Another big win for Annapolis. Had a good way to start their season last week. They get another one tonight with a 60-17 win over Southern. Arundel beat North County 46-6. It was Bel Air over Friendly 10-7. Blair beats Bethesda Chevy Chase 57-21. Paint Branch with a nice win as they knocked off Blake 54-20. Elsewhere, Thomas Stone, nice win tonight. They beat Chompticon 31-28. It was Churchill over Einstein 30-24. Gaithersburg beating Watkins Mill 28-7. Elsewhere, La Plata over Leonardtown 20-10. Northwood with a win tonight. Actually, a loss for Northwood as Magruder beat them 51-28. Marriott's Ridge over Hammond 20-6. Chesapeake edges Meade 22-19. Meade falling to 0-2 on the season. Of course, their longtime coach Rich Holzer leaving the Meade program in the offseason to go to Mount St. Joe's, having a pretty good season of their own right, but Meade again falling to 0-2 on the year, that is. North Point, 7-0 win over Lackey after their big win over Thomas Stone last night. Of course, we had Coach Petrie on the show last week. His Eagles getting another close win, beating Lackey by that 7-0 score. Patuxent, 28-14 over Northern tonight. River Hill beat Glen Elg in a nice matchup, 21-14. River Hill rebounding from their stunning loss to Wild Lake last night. That one may be for supremacy when it comes to the playoffs later on in the season. Big win for River Hill there. Sherwood with a nice win over Clarksburg, trying to announce their candidacy as a Montgomery County team to watch, 30-13 over the Coyotes for Sherwood. South River beat Severna Park 21-7. Also Springbrook, that is, with a 24-2 win over Wooten. Over in Virginia, it was Briar Woods avoiding an 0-3 start. Of course, quality teams that Briar Woods has lost to in Tuscarora and South County, but maybe a little hangover tonight as the Falcons beat South Lakes just 24-20. Score late touchdown, that one for the Falcons to get the win. West Potomac, a blowout of Edison tonight, 66-13. Brook Point beat Forest Park 34-21. Parkview with their first win of the season, knocking off Freedom of South Riding 27-7. Heritage over Loudoun Valley tonight, 41-35. Pride moved to 3-1 on the year. We'll hear from their head coach, Reed Prosser, later on in the show. James Monroe over Manassas Park, 71-0. It was Chantilly over Lee, 49-7. Chargers 2-0 on the season. They'll match up with Stonebridge next week. Of course, might be an angry Stonebridge team after their upset loss tonight to Madison. Marshall over McLean, 28-17. It was Potomac of Virginia over Osborne, 14-12. Osborne falling to 0-3 in the season. Head coach, the former Redskins tackle Chris Samuels, is still winless in his coaching career at Osborne. Hilton over Patriot tonight, 32-10. It was Potomac Falls over Falls Church, 62-14. That's the second highest point total in school history for Potomac Falls. The other one coming back in 1998 when they beat, at the time, single A school Clark County, put 70 up on them. Brentsville a winner tonight over Skyline, 27-14. Elsewhere, it was Woodgrove over Loudoun County, 56-14. Well, we're going to come on back right after this, have some more, may talk to some coaches as well. We'll get the scores in for you as well. May also take a look at some of the games that happened tonight. Stay tuned for all of it. It's right here. You're listening to The Final Drive. I'm Jeremy Huber, your host. Remember, if you want to get in touch with us, go ahead and do it via Twitter at DMVStream. Hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. Again, that's DMVStream. Hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. More coming up right after this. Looking for some of the best barbecue in the area? Well, then come on down to Monk's. Monk's Barbecue has all your favorites. Delicious pulled pork, tender, moist brisket, and dry rubbed ribs that just fall off the bone, as well as specialty items like pulled chicken, pastrami, and Kansas City burnt ends. Add in delicious sides like Monk's Special Baked Beans, smoked Gouda mac and cheese, vinegar coleslaw, and many more, and you can't get any better. That's Monk's Barbecue in the heart of Loudoun County, online at monksq.com. That's monks and the letter Q.com. And go to their Facebook page to find out more about their live music and drinks.
DMVSTREAM.com produces live broadcasts for professional, semi-pro, and amateur sporting events, as well as colleges, universities, high schools, AAU, and youth tournaments in the Mid-Atlantic. With a client list that includes ESPN, The Washington Post, Monumental Sports Network, CBS.com, USAFootball.com, USLacrosse.org, NCAA.com, the National Federation of High School Sports, and Georgetown University, among others, Synthesis Multimedia has emerged as the Mid-Atlantic's top provider of sports multimedia. Contact us today to learn more about streaming your events live.
Are you a fan of high school sports? Does high school sports attract the type of customers you want for your business? If so, then consider advertising here on The Final Drive. The Final Drive on DMVStream.com is a weekly show dedicated to high school football in the District, Maryland, and Virginia. We update scores and talk to the movers and shakers from Friday night's top games, and we preview the big matchups from Saturday's action. So consider being a part of The Final Drive. For more information about advertising on The Final Drive, contact Jeremy Huber at jrh0001@gmail.com. That's jrh0001@gmail.com. Montgomery Shade and Awning is a third-generation family business that sells and installs shade systems utilizing awnings and canopies. They specialize in both commercial and residential awnings and have been serving Northern Virginia since 1975. So check out what Rob, Lewis, Brian, and Tom can do for you. Montgomery Shade and Awning. Call 1-800-300-1941 or find them online at montgomeryawning.com. And welcome back to The Final Drive here on DMVStream.com. Again, big night in the DMV when it comes to upsets. Saw a lot of them tonight. Just in the top 10, top 20, that is, the All Met Sports top 20 tonight we saw number 2 Northwest go down to Seneca Valley 14-7. Number 4 Westfield knocked off by number 10 South County 26-19. Also number 6 St. John's, they fell to Steubenville of Ohio 22-14 tonight. Also number 9 Stonebridge falling to Madison 35-24. Also in the upset category tonight, we saw our other upset of the night, I should say, is number 16 Douglas falling to 0-2 on the season, coming off their state championship campaign as they fell tonight to Riverdale Baptist by a score of 17-8. And earlier on tonight, had a chance to catch up with the head coach of the Riverdale Baptist Crusaders, Caesar Nettles. Talked to him a little bit about the win over Douglas tonight. Really a good bounce back for his squad after the season opening loss against McNamara, kind of a blowout loss as well. We talked about that and a little bit more, but I started the interview off asking Coach Nettles just really about that, how his team's been able to kind of get back on the right foot after that season opening loss, a little bit of an embarrassing loss to McNamara by about 20 points.
Well, I think, one of the things that I did a poor job of early on was I had the guys a little bit too wound tight. We weren't playing ourselves. We had, 4 or 5 turnovers in the first game. I think that, we just were so excited. And once we just, settled the guys, our offensive and defensive staff, really just got the guys to focus on responsibility and not trying to, do somebody else's job and just focus on the details of the game. Ultimately, the guys just, start making the natural plays. And, I'm just blessed to have guys that are willing to put in the work and to take the criticism. And we tell our guys that we're going to be harder critics on ourselves than anybody else. And so we're in a good place right now because we don't focus on it or, the size of the game. We focus on each play and each rep. And I think that's what's helping us out.
Obviously, 2 straight wins for you, beating Eleanor Roosevelt last week, and obviously this win over Douglas, a ranked opponent team, obviously had a great year last year. But anytime you can get that pelt on your back, you can obviously a good one. Now, you guys have a lot of stars on the defensive side of things, and defense very good tonight, only giving up 8 points. Talk a little bit about the defensive performance tonight and some of the guys who kind of keyed it.
I can tell you, really, our defensive backfield is extremely talented, and they allow us to get very creative and aggressive inside the box. So I think that, Tyree Castlefield had a phenomenal game. Zach McPherson always plays phenomenal. Both of them had interceptions tonight. But everybody knows when you get an interception, there's a lot of times due with the pressure. I thought, defensive tackle Marcus Coleman and Stephon Mingo do a great job of really, really pressuring that quarterback. We got some young guys in there, Sean McCutcheon and Gabe Whitaker, the whole group. They just did a really, really good job. And once we, when you play a team like Douglas and they're so well coached that, they make you pay for every mistake that you make. And so, I thought our guys did a good job of just focusing on their keys and settling down and trusting their eyes. And that ultimately allowed us to play, a good 3 quarters on defense. We started off really slow, but once we settled in and just focused on our job, I thought they did a phenomenal job.
Again, joined by Caesar Nettles, the head coach of Riverdale Baptist, his team with a 17-8 win tonight over ranked Douglas. Now, Coach, obviously didn't get that much from the offense, but you got some guys on the offensive end that helped you guys along to control the game and get the win.
Well, I got to tell you, even though the score was 17-8, I thought our offense did a great job. Our offensive line really started to weigh on the opponent and really controlled the line of scrimmage. And then, we had an injury. Our starting running back, Jonathan Lee, got hurt in the first quarter, and I think that kind of got us off a little slower than we expected. But then we had a senior captain, Zach Campbell, step up, and him and John Oliver, who's a sophomore, really started doing a great job. But it's really our quarterback did a phenomenal job when we threw the ball of just giving the receivers the opportunity to make plays. Tyree Castlefield had 2 touchdowns, and he really, really set the tone for us. Cody Wilburn and Zach McPherson, the whole group just did a phenomenal job. And so, even though we didn't score a lot of points, we executed, and that's much more important. And then we got, a great kicker hit a 47-yarder from the hash tonight, and that really, really helped us out. So I thought we won the offensive line and on offensive line with the line of scrimmage, and that allowed us to really dictate tempo this afternoon.
And one last one for you, Coach. Obviously, the way you guys play, you've got some big games coming up on the schedule. Obviously, Bullis later on in the season, Avalon, some tough teams as well, Spalding as well. How do you think things break down for you as you move ahead with a 2-1 record in your back pocket?
Well, I can tell you that our most important game is the next one. I don't see anybody next month. I only see our next opponent, and that's our philosophy. We're going to take every rep, every play, and just try to do the best of our ability. And so right now we're going to enjoy this win tonight, and tomorrow morning we're going to watch film, and we're going to get some good deals going. And, we're just going to try to, figure out our mistakes and then focus on the opponent. So I'm just looking forward to Spalding this week. Last year they got us in the first game, and it was kind of similar to our first game this year. We came out, struggled a lot, had a lot of cramps, had a lot of penalties, just unorganized. And so I got to really own in because, Spalding's well coached, disciplined, strong, physical. So we just got to go out and just do what we do. And I think if we do that, we'll be okay.
Head coach of the Riverdale Baptist, Caesar Nettles, big win tonight over Douglas, 17-8. Coach, thanks so much for joining us on the show.
Okay, thank you for having me.
And of course, Coach Nettles there with a big upset. Also a big upset tonight coming out of Montgomery County. That would be the Seneca Valley Screaming Eagles with a nice win tonight as they knock off the number 2 team in the area, the Northwest Jaguars, by a count of 14-7. Joined on the phone right now by the head coach of the Screaming Eagles, Fred Kim. Coach Kim, congratulations on the big win.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it. It was great for us, great for our program, especially for our kids.
Yeah, and it's funny, Coach Kim, obviously you've been around for pretty much a lot of the success at Seneca Valley as a player, also an assistant, and now a coach here. And it's funny, when I graduated from high school in 1997, and I remember it was almost this mysterious program of Seneca Valley. They were always winning state championships, those type of things. Is it a thrill to kind of get a big win like this, maybe something that the feeling back like it was back when you were a young assistant and a player at Seneca Valley?
Yes, it was important, especially in the last 2 years. We dropped games against Northwest and Damascus 2 years in a row, and Sherwood and 2 years prior to that, and we just haven't had a big win all year. The last 2 years especially, and people were kind of writing off the program. It felt like we had faded, and we were just going to disintegrate into oblivion. But obviously we proved tonight that we're not going anywhere, and we're going to claw and fight our way back to the top.
Most definitely, Coach, with a big win tonight. You talk about scratching and clawing a little bit, and you got to mention that defense. That Northwest offense is a high-powered bunch. You're able to hold them to 7 points and score a defensive touchdown. Talk about the performance of your defense and some of the guys who led the way.
The defense was incredible. They had some critical stops. Obviously, the first one with the fumble scoop for a touchdown, and they had an early drive where they dropped in the red zone, and Jay Wright picked off a tip ball in the end. That was a dagger for them. And of course, that I thought the critical moment was our goal line stand. Adrian Platt blitzed through a B gap and vertical, and made a huge play on 4th down on that. I think it was 4th and 3. That was monster, big TFL. That was huge. And then, of course, at the end, stopping them on 4th down, they had another drive. So we had 2 red zone stops on a goal line stand. So the kids came up big, very, very big.
Yeah, and obviously with this win tonight, a big win. And again, you talk about it, it's a local rivalry. Again, you play for the King's Trophy. How important is that for you guys to go ahead and win, as you said, over a local team that has a good program as well, and kind of hold that thing aloft and maybe have some bragging rights?
Yeah, I mean, that's big. Obviously, we feel like this is the biggest rivalry in Montgomery County, despite the fact that they're 4A, 3A. It's huge. Fight for the Germantown area turf. The bragging rights, of course, and we got always these local kids that are around trying to decide whether they want to come to Northwest or come here, and they're always on. We're 2.5 miles away from each other, and at any moment's notice, somebody can move into a district and jump in the right spot there. So it was big for us, especially since, like I said earlier, that we dropped to them 2 years in a row.
Coach,
so we needed to get back.
Yeah, Coach, looking at the game story time from the Washington Post, they mentioned that you guys only dressed 35 players compared to the 56 on the other side for Northwest. Obviously, I know the way you have your guys going, they're ready, they're conditioned, but was there any game planning tonight trying to account for that, maybe saying, hey, we've got to slow this tempo down a little bit so they can't tire us out?
Actually, no, that was not the case. We were a hurry-up offense, and we knew they were a hurry-up defense, so we knew that we had to be prepared. So we conditioned the heck out of our kids. I mean, prior to the start of the season in January, we had 72 kids interested in the program, and we basically said to ourselves, if these kids if any kid is not prepared to surrender to the program, we would just run them off. And we wanted to go with the elite and the best of the school. So we trimmed the roster down. Normally we carry 55 and 65 kids, and we trimmed the roster down to the best of the best. You know, we like to draw the analogy. You know, you guys are the SEAL team, the best of the entire school, the elite. And they really earned their way. I mean, we worked harder this summer in the off season than we ever have in my 12 years there as a head football coach. And the other 5 years as an assistant, as I've been there in 94, we really got after in the off season.
And obviously it's coming out for some good results with this big win over Northwest today by a count of 14-7. Coach, looking at the post, got a nice picture of you getting carried off the field by your team. How much of a thrill was that for you to have your players kind of lift you off there?
That was awesome. It's almost as good as a state title, but heck, I'm not so sure about that because I've never won a state title, but it was awful good to be up there. And all I kept thinking was, while I was up there was, man, if this was a state championship, can it top this feeling? And is it even possible to top that feeling? Because it felt awful good up there.
I guess one last one for you, Coach. Obviously, you played under Coach Thomas. You were a coach under Coach Sanguris, both legendary high school coaches in Maryland. Have you heard from anybody tonight? Any former teammates? Anybody else from the program with maybe a text message or a congratulations on the big win?
Oh yeah, right when I got to our local establishment, I had about 60 text messages and about 30 notifications on Facebook. So. And I got a phone call from one of my best friends, a former teammate of mine over at Seneca Valley when we won a state title in '87, Tom Norris. And, one of my best friends in the world, he called me up and said, heck, I just got a call to congratulate you. Heck, I had so many texts. I haven't even gone through all of them, from people just congratulating. So it's definitely a great feeling. It was a big win for us.
And one last one before we let you go, Coach Fred Kim, the Seneca Valley Screaming Eagles getting the win over Northwest tonight. Obviously, Northwest, they are the 4A champs 2 times in a row. They are a team ranked number 2 in the area. How do you go about keeping the letdown maybe from coming after your kids saying they're 17, 18-year-olds saying, hey, we beat this team? Is there anything you have to take to say, hey, we've got to keep playing the rest of the season out? We've really done nothing so far.
Well, what we will stress to the kids is that this is only the tip of the iceberg. We want to win a state title. That's the ultimate goal. So it basically everything, this win validates everything that we've done and how hard we've worked them and asked them to commit themselves. Like I said earlier, surrender to the program. That's been our motto. Give everything you got to this program and good things will happen. And I think this validates it for us, beating the number 2 team in the area. And we're just going to emphasize bigger things to come. If they think this felt good, wait till they win a state title in Raymond Stadium.
Well, obviously, Coach, you got a nice step in that direction tonight with a big win over Northwest. Head coach of the Seneca Valley Screaming Eagles, Fred Kim, congratulations, and thanks so much for joining the show.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And Coach Kim, obviously, with one heck of a win tonight, and you have to think it would feel so great for him tonight as a guy who played and coached at Seneca Valley, as he told you. It was one of those things as a kid growing up in this area, as I told Coach Kim, it was almost the mythical Seneca Valley. They're always winning state championships, and you said, what would it be like to play against them? They're so good. They're always winning the states. What would it be like? Well, obviously, he's trying to get that program back to where it was under Al Thomas and Terry Shanguris, and boy, a big step in that direction tonight with a nice win, 14-7 over Northwest to go ahead and get that victory, knocking off the number 2 team in the area. You want to go ahead and get in touch with us here on the Final Drive? Do it. Tweet us at DMVStream, hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. Again, that's DMVStream, hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. Coming up on the show, we will hear from the head coach of the Heritage Pride, Reed Prosser. His team moving to 3-0 on the night in the Loudoun County area with a big win over Loudoun Valley. Also, maybe hearing from Ian Thomas, the head coach of Pilati, his team with a nice win over Avalon tonight. That's all coming up right here on the Final Drive here on DMVSTREAM.com. Looking for some of the best barbecue in the area? Well, then come on down to Monk's. Monk's Barbecue has all your favorites: delicious pulled pork, tender, moist brisket, and dry rubbed ribs that just fall off the bone, as well as specialty items like pulled chicken, pastrami, and Kansas City burnt ends. Add in delicious sides like Monk's special baked beans, smoked Gouda mac and cheese, vinegar coleslaw, and many more, and you can't get any better. That's Monk's Barbecue in the heart of Loudoun County, online at monksq.com. That's monks in the letter Q.com. And go to their Facebook page to find out more about their live music and drinks.
DMVSTREAM.com produces live broadcasts for professional, semi-pro, and amateur sporting events, as well as colleges, universities, high schools, AAU, and youth tournaments in the Mid-Atlantic. With a client list that includes ESPN, The Washington Post, Monumental Sports Network, CBS.com, USAFootball.com, USLacrosse.org, NCAA.com, the National Federation of High School Sports, and Georgetown University, among others, Synthesis Multimedia has emerged as the Mid-Atlantic's top provider of sports multimedia. Contact us today to learn more about streaming your events live.
Are you a fan of high school sports? Does high school sports attract the type of customers you want for your business? If so, then consider advertising here on The Final Drive. The Final Drive on DMVStream.com is a weekly show dedicated to high school football in the District, Maryland, and Virginia. We update scores and talk to the movers and shakers from Friday night's top games, and we preview the big matchups from Saturday's action. So consider being a part of The Final Drive. For more information about advertising on The Final Drive, contact Jeremy Huber at jrh0001@gmail.com. That's jrh0001@gmail.com. Montgomery Shade and Awning is a third-generation family business that sells and installs shade systems utilizing awnings and canopies. They specialize in both commercial and residential awnings and have been serving Northern Virginia since 1975. So check out what Rob, Lewis, Brian, and Tom can do for you. Montgomery Shade and Awning. Call 1-800-300-1941 or find them online at montgomeryawning.com. And welcome back into The Final Drive here on DMVStream.com. Been a heck of a show so far. Going to be a heck of a one coming up right now. Again, going to be joined by a coach with a nice win on the night, as we'll hear from the head coach of Pilati, Ian Thomas. His team getting a nice win tonight over Avalon by a score, I believe, of 14-7. Coach Thomas, congratulations on the big win.
Having me on.
Yeah, obviously tonight you guys get a very nice win. An Avalon got the score wrong, 22-20. Your team with one kind of went right down to the wire. Talk a little bit about your team and getting a win over a quality opponent in Avalon.
Oh man, we're very excited. You know, as you said, great competition. Those young men over there are great players. You know, they're a great program over there. And you know, we just came down to the last minute. You know, we made a big play at the end to get a stop, and you know, we made a few plays. They made some great plays. It was just a great game overall, and I'm just happy to come out on top.
You talk about making some stops, and obviously you're playing against Diggs, one of the top players in the area. He did some things, had a touchdown pass, had a fake punt run, I believe, as well, to set up another touchdown. How'd you think your team did against a player like that obviously brings a lot to the table skill-wise?
Well, you know, I told my team, they're going to make plays, and you know, we just got to keep fighting. And you know, we may bend, but we won't break. They're great athletes. They practice. They're very fast. They're going to make plays. No question that will happen. But you know, we settled down and we got focused and we figured out how to stop it. You know, I mean, he's a great athlete. I give him all the praise in the world. He's going to affect this game, you know, tremendously in his future.
Now, looking at tonight, obviously you had a nice game out of your quarterback. Brandon Stewart had 2 touchdown passes. Talk about him and what the rest of the offense was able to do.
He's a young quarterback. He's learning a lot. He's learning fast. He has a lot of confidence. He's very poised. That's something that, we can rely on him to be and keep the team focused and keep them relaxed and don't get stressed. When it comes down to crunch time, he can hold his team and manage the team well. Using that, the players, they depend on him. They trust him to get them the ball. So, it's a good chemistry building there.
You talk about building chemistry, Coach Ian Thomas of Pilati, his team with the 22-20 win tonight over Avalon. And obviously your program, a growing program, but one that's starting to open some eyes in the area. How have you liked the performance of your squad and how things, maybe the growth and development of what your guys have been able to do?
These young men, they work so hard. They've been working since we won the championship last year. And, it's been nonstop and they're so dedicated. And even with a sloppy performance tonight, we came up on top. And I think it was really just due to all this hard work and dedication that they have put in over these few months here. And, we have a great group of young men. We're recruiting hard. We're doing all the things that a program needs to continue to grow and become what we want to be. Obviously, like you said, we're growing and, we understand that there's going to be some challenges as a growing program, but the young men that we bring into this program, they are always willing to do what we need them to do to be successful. And, I'm looking forward to the future. We're just taking it one week at a time.
And Coach, obviously some people may not know your background. You played at Illinois, pretty good player there. Is there ever a situation where that maybe works in your favor when you're looking at guys and saying, hey man, I'm the guy, I know how to get there because I was there before? Do you ever play that card? And if you do, is it successful with guys, or is it you just have to teach them that, let them know that, hey, I know what I'm doing as a coach?
Oh, it's absolutely a positive thing. It's a pro. When it comes to recruiting, just coming out off from being in the game and, going through that process and understanding everything it takes to get there and, knowing a lot of people that's still playing, NFL players, college coaches that we have connections with. It's just a lot to offer as a former player, and especially being a former player that has not long ago stopped playing the game. I think I have a lot to offer. And also to learn as a coach, but that little bit that I have to show as a player fresh out of the game, I can get out there and show them what it looks like, and I can give them guidance on what's soon to come if they're moving on to that next level, and that is absolutely a good pitch that I throw out there for recruits.
Coach, as a young coach, did you make sure to go ahead and make sure you had a bit of an established staff to make sure you kind of help yourself out along the way?
Absolutely. I think the staff that I have, they're great. We have some guys that have played. I have a former, I have a guy that went to my high school alma mater, which is the Mass, if you didn't know. I have a guy on my staff. He's older. I have a few guys that have also played Division I football not long ago. We have a few older guys that have been coaching for a long time on the high school level, and have a few that have been at the college level. So, we have a great staff, and like you said, when you got that staff around you, it's easy. It makes it a lot easier and takes a little pressure off me, so I can rely on them to do what we need them to do.
One last one. We'll get you out of here, Coach. Obviously, you start the season off 3-0. You're moving forward. How do you kind of attack the rest of the way for a team that's kind of got out of the gates pretty quickly?
It's just focusing, making sure that we're not getting ahead of ourselves, never overlooking any mistakes that we've made. Always want to make sure that we correct everything that we've done wrong, continue to improve week to week. We're not supposed to be the best team that we can be right now. I think moving forward in a few games, we should be that, and I think we will be that. We're still learning. We're still, growing together. Our chemistry is still coming together. So there's a lot of things that we need to improve on, but, coming out the gate, just making sure that we're not getting overconfident, understanding that we will see great competition in the future and making sure that we're prepared.
And obviously you were prepared tonight with a nice 22-20 win over Avalon. Head coach of Pilati, Ian Thomas, congratulations, and thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me, and I'm looking forward to talking to you again soon.
We'll do that. You guys keep getting big wins. We'll make sure we get you on the show. Okay, Coach?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. I'll talk to you soon.
And again, a nice win by Pilati tonight with that big victory over Avalon. Again, a growing Pilati program, but they're doing some very good things with the win over Avalon, a team who had kind of got some, had really a nice season last year, and Pilati able to take them down, the Panthers, again with that 22-20 win. Real quick, we're going to jump out of the D.C. area for just a second. Interesting score this week tonight in Pennsylvania. Meadville beats Dubois 107-90. It's not a basketball score, folks. That is a football score. Meadville over Dubois, 107-90. Boy, that's a lot of scoring, especially up in the Pennsylvania area where they love to play tough and run that football. Not tonight, though. They get a big-time scoring game, 107-90. Well, come on back after this here on the final drive here on DMVSTREAM.com. We're going to go ahead and run down all the scores we've got for you. Right after this, we'll make sure we get you up to date on everything we've got. If you got a score that we don't have, go ahead and send it to us. Tweet it to us at DMVStream. Hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. Again, that's DMVStream. Hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. We'll be right back after this here on the Final Drive. I'm Jeremy Huber. Stay tuned. More coming up right after this. Looking for some of the best barbecue in the area? Well, then come on down to Monk's. Monk's Barbecue has all your favorites: delicious pulled pork, tender, moist brisket, and dry rubbed ribs that just fall off the bone, as well as specialty items like pulled chicken, pastrami, and Kansas City burnt ends. Add in delicious sides like Monk's special baked beans, smoked Gouda mac and cheese, vinegar coleslaw, and many more, and you can't get any better. That's Monk's Barbecue in the heart of Loudoun County, online at monksq.com. That's monks and the letter Q.com. And go to their Facebook page to find out more about their live music and drinks.
DMVSTREAM.com produces live broadcasts for professional, semi-pro, and amateur sporting events, as well as colleges, universities, high schools, AAU, and youth tournaments in the Mid-Atlantic. With a client list that includes ESPN, The Washington Post, Monumental Sports Network, CBS.com, USAFootball.com, USLacrosse.org, NCAA.com, the National Federation of High School Sports, and Georgetown University, among others, Synthesis Multimedia has emerged as the Mid-Atlantic's top provider of sports multimedia. Contact us today to learn more about streaming your events live.
Are you a fan of high school sports? Does high school sports attract the type of customers you want for your business? If so, then consider advertising here on The Final Drive. The Final Drive on DMVStream.com is a weekly show dedicated to high school football in the District, Maryland, and Virginia. We update scores and talk to the movers and shakers from Friday night's top games, and we preview the big matchups from Saturday's action. So consider being a part of The Final Drive. For more information about advertising on The Final Drive, contact Jeremy Huber at jrh0001@gmail.com. That's jrh0001@gmail.com. Montgomery Shade and Awning is a third-generation family business that sells and installs shade systems utilizing awnings and canopies. They specialize in both commercial and residential awnings and have been serving Northern Virginia since 1975. So check out what Rob, Lewis, Brian, and Tom can do for you. Montgomery Shade and Awning. Call 1-800-300-1941 or find them online at montgomeryawning.com. And welcome back into the Final Drive here on DMVStream.com. Going to run down all the scores we got. We got most of them in right now. We'll probably have a few more stragglers coming in late, but we'll pass those along to you when we go ahead and get them. Again, if you want to get in touch with us here on the Final Drive, do it at DMV Stream. Hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. Again, that's DMV Stream. Hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. Well, we'll start off at the top of the Washington Post, the All-Met Sports Top 20 poll. And again, it was DeMatha. They were off tonight, did not play. They are off for the week as they'll play LaSalle of Pennsylvania. That one coming up next weekend. So that should be another interesting test for them. The two games against teams, powerhouses from Florida. Now they'll go the other way and take on a team from Pennsylvania, LaSalle, Philadelphia Power. The big one of the night, one of the many big upsets of the night, it was number 2 Northwest going down to Seneca Valley 14-7 as the Screaming Eagles get the win win. We talked to head coach Fred Kim earlier. You can catch that one on the replay of when this one's archived a little bit later on. Hear what Coach Kim had to say about his team's big win. Number 3, Good Counsel over DePaul of New Jersey, 42-28. Number 4, Westfield fell to number 10, South County, 26-19. DeAndre Clayton coming off the bench for South County threw 2 touchdown passes to lead the comeback for the Stallions. Number 5, Damascus all over Rockville, 63-0. It was Steubenville of Ohio over number 6, St. John's, 22-14. Number 7, Lake Braddock beat Annandale, 40-0. Number 8, Old Mill Cruise by Glen Burnie, 42-6. It was Madison knocking off number 9, Stonebridge, 35-24. Number 11, Bullis off this week. They'll play Woodbury Forest next week. Number 12, Duval in action tomorrow against Northwestern, 2 p.m. kickoff. Number 13, Wise followed up their win over Douglas with a 73-0 win over Parkdale. Number 14, Centerville over Fairfax, 28-6. Number 15, Tuscarora moves to 3-0 on the year. They beat Hayfield, 40-14. Number 16, Douglas falls to Riverdale Baptist, 17-8. Douglas now 0-2 on the season. Number 17, Quince Orchard routed Walter Johnson, 61-11. Number 18, Battlefield over Woodbridge, 27-3. It was number 19, Broad Run over Langley, 45-21. Spartans now 3-0. Number 20, Howard over Wild Lake, 35-0. Just heard from the head coach of the Plotty Panthers, Ian Thomas, his team knocking off Avalon tonight by a score of 22-20. Of course, you can catch Coach Thomas on the replay of this show, available coming up in just a little bit on the final drive on DMVSTREAM.com on our blog page. It's Flint Hill over Paul the Sixth Catholic tonight, 21-14. John Paul the Great at Fredericksburg beats Potomac School, 28-20. It was St. Mary's Riken knocking off Mount St. Joe's, 27-22. Severn School over St. Paul's, 24-9. Carroll over Ballou, 48-16. As Keon Singleton ran for 222 yards and 4 touchdowns for the Lions. Coolidge over McKinley tonight, 36-16. First win with the Colts for head coach Steve Scott. Of course, he resigned at H.D. Woodson to make way for the return of head coach Greg Fuller. Wilson over Phelps tonight, 47-0. Sidwell Friends knocking off George Mason, 40-22 in a little bit of public versus private action. Sidwell Friends actually had a 40-0 lead in that one at one point. Kip over Cardoza, 38-2. It was in Maryland, Annapolis over Southern, 60-17. Arundel beat North County, 46-6. Bel Air over Friendly, 10-7. Blair big over Bethesda Chevy Chase, 57-21. Paint Branch beat Blake, 54-20. It was Broadneck over Northeast, 52-0. Thomas Stone knocks off Chopticon by a score of 31-28. Churchill over Einstein, 30-24. Gaithersburg beat Watkins Mill, 28-7. Westlake over Great Mills, 47-19. La Plata over Leonardtown, 20-10. It was Athelton over Longreach, 42-6. Magruder beats Northwood, 51-28. Marriott's Ridge over Hammond, 20-6. Chesapeake over Meade, 22-19, as Meade falls to 0-2 on the year. North Point over Lackey, 7-0. Patuxent beat Northern, 28-14. River Hill over Glenelg, 21-14. River Hill bouncing back from their surprising loss to Wild Lake last week. Sherwood with a nice win over Clarksburg tonight, 30-13. South River over Severna Park, 21-7. It was Springbrook over Wooten, 24-2. In Virginia, Briarwoods avoids an 0-3 start. They beat South Lakes 24-20. West Potomac big over Edison tonight, 66-13. Brook Point over Forest Park, 34-21. Parkview gets a win. They beat Freedom of South Riding 27-7. It was Heritage winning a thriller over Loudon Valley, 41-35. We'll hear from the head coach of the Heritage Pride in just a second. Reed Prosser talking about his team's big win. Herndon over Stewart, 30-13. James Monroe all over Manassas Park, 71-0. It was Washington Lee over Jefferson, 35-6. Chantilly beats Lee, 49-7. Chargers now 2-0 on the season. Marshall with a win. They knocked off McLean 28-17. It was Potomac of Virginia over Osborne 14-12. Chris Samuels, head coach of the Eagles, he falls to 0-3 on the year. Hilton over Patriot 32-10. It was Potomac Falls big over Falls Church tonight, 62-14. Second most points scored by Potomac Falls in their school history against the team in Falls Church looking to contend for a district title. It was Brentsville over Skyline, 27-14. Robinson big over WT Woodson tonight, 56-0. Yorktown beats Wakefield 24-7. Also tonight, West Springfield again with another win. They beat Mount Vernon by a count of 47-13. Elsewhere, it was Woodgrove for the win over Loudoun County. Out in some Loudoun County action, 56-14. Joined now by the head coach of the Heritage Pride, Reed Prosser. His squad getting a 41-35 win over Loudoun Valley tonight. Coach Prosser, congratulations on the big win.
Oh, absolutely, man. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. The kids played great. It was a super exciting game. All kinds of things went well for us, and just couldn't ask for a better night.
You got to start at the quarterback spot with you guys. Alex Carlin had a phenomenal night from what I saw, 4 touchdown passes and a touchdown run. Talk about his performance.
Oh, Alex is a special kid. I mean, we knew he was going to be something special, and all he's done is just take advantage of the opportunities. He's a smart kid. He called a bunch of audibles tonight that worked, and you really just couldn't ask for a better kid. He's like a 4.8 GPA or whatever in honors classes, and just a spectacular young man.
It's funny, Coach. I actually had the pleasure of coaching Alex when he was 8 years old in youth football. And the one thing I always...
that Carlin clan, man, they're stacked up everywhere. So Alex is a spectacular kid, as you well know.
And it's funny, even back then, he had great football instincts. He was, I like to tell people, was the best 8-year-old safety I've ever seen. Is that a big thing with him, is just the fact that knowing the game and instinctually being a great player?
Yeah, he's truly a student of the game. Not only is he blessed physically, and he works his tail off, he understands everything. And so when you got a bright kid who's a great athlete, who has work ethic, you got a special kid.
Now, Coach, obviously tonight they gave up some points to Loudoun Valley, but they've shown before they can score some points. Talk a little bit about some guys maybe on the defensive side that gave you some big plays when you needed it to go ahead and keep the W in your back pocket.
Yeah, man, our defense played great in the first half, and then Valley got a couple things going in the second half, spit a couple runs, but we had some huge key stops late in the game, and, we had a great couple sacks to put them in bad field position at the end, and then our guys just made plays on third and fourth down to get the ball back so we could kneel it. Really, really proud of our kids, a spectacular team effort, and we're the first time we've been 3-0 at Heritage in a long time.
Most definitely. I think it's been a long time. I was covering the team the last time I think that they went 3-0. It's funny, Coach. Obviously, you came down from Millbrook over in the Winchester area, had some very good success over there, and it kind of seemed like it was some slow going for you at Heritage. Do you feel like now a 3-0 start, a win over a quality opponent in Loudoun Valley that people can't say, well, that team's not that good? Do you feel like your program's kind of turned a corner?
We knew this was going to be a special year for us. We played a lot of young kids the last 2 years, and now those kids are older. We're playing a schedule with everybody the exact same profile of us. So we'll play any 4A team in the state. Do you want to take us to Salem? You want to take us to Strando? We'll play any 4A team in the state, but this is the first year we've played all 4A teams, and I think that's a big help for us also.
Looking at your schedule coming up, it's kind of backloaded when it comes to the folks that seem to go ahead and challenge for the district title in Woodgrove, Champ, and Dominion. You got some teams coming up that should be winnable games. How do you approach that going forward where you can't say, obviously you have to worry maybe a little bit about the kids saying, we can get this team's easy, or just because of the fact you guys have been a little bit starved for greatness at Heritage, you're figuring the kids are going to be able to focus and say, hey, let's just keep winning games?
We don't talk about wins and losses. We really, really don't. We talk about playing to our potential and competing in practice every day. And our kids compete in practice every day, so we don't worry about who we're playing next. We just want to win that day in practice. And I know that sounds trite, but it's not. It's really how we operate.
And obviously it's operating very well for you right now. A 3-0 start for the Heritage Pride. Reed Prosser, head coach of the Pride. Thanks for joining us on the show.
Hey, my pleasure. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
And, of course, Coach Prosser with a fantastic start, 3-0 out in Loudoun County area. And, of course, if you don't really follow Loudoun County football, kind of stratified a little bit more this year. Some of the teams for a long time had to kind of play up against some of the bigger squads, the Stonebridges, the Briar Woods, the broad runs. Heritage doesn't have to do that anymore. As Coach kind of referred to, I think their opening games kind of against some Winchester teams and some other ones maybe kind of kept them a little more injury-free as they move forward and able to go ahead and put a nice performance out tonight as they knock off Loudon Valley by, again, that 41-35 count. Well, we'll have one more break for you. We'll come back, talk about what's going on tomorrow in the DMV. So stay tuned for that. It's coming up right here. You're listening to The Final Drive here on DMV Stream. I'm Jeremy Huber. Stay tuned. Coming back right after this. Looking for some of the best barbecue in the area? Well, then come on down to Monk's. Monk's Barbecue has all your favorites. Delicious pulled pork, tender, moist brisket, and dry rubbed ribs that just fall off the bone, as well as specialty items like pulled chicken, pastrami, and Kansas City burnt ends. Add in delicious sides like Monk's Special Baked Beans, smoked Gouda mac and cheese, vinegar coleslaw, and many more, and you can't get any better. That's Monk's Barbecue in the heart of Loudoun County, online at monksq.com. That's monks and the letter Q.com. And go to their Facebook page to find out more about their live music and drinks.
DMVSTREAM.com produces live broadcasts for professional, semi-pro, and amateur sporting events, as well as colleges, universities, high schools, AAU, and youth tournaments in the Mid-Atlantic. With a client list that includes ESPN, The Washington Post, Monumental Sports Network, CBS.com, USAFootball.com, USLacrosse.org, NCAA.com, the National Federation of High School Sports, and Georgetown University, among others, Synthesis Multimedia has emerged as the Mid-Atlantic's top provider of sports multimedia. Contact us today to learn more about streaming your events live.
Are you a fan of high school sports? Does high school sports attract the type of customers you want for your business? If so, then consider advertising here on The Final Drive. The Final Drive on DMVStream.com is a weekly show dedicated to high school football in the District, Maryland, and Virginia. We update scores and talk to the movers and shakers from Friday night's top games, and we preview the big matchups from Saturday's action. So consider being a part of The Final Drive. For more information about advertising on The Final Drive, contact Jeremy Huber at jrh0001@gmail.com. That's jrh0001@gmail.com. Montgomery Shade and Awning is a third-generation family business that sells and installs shade systems utilizing awnings and canopies. They specialize in both commercial and residential awnings and have been serving Northern Virginia since 1975. So check out what Rob, Lewis, Brian, and Tom can do for you. Montgomery Shade and Awning. Call 1-800-300-1941 or find them online at montgomeryawning.com. And almost done here on The Final Drive for another week. A couple more scores have just come in. I'm going to pass those along to you right now. Go ahead and get them along. Again, a nice night. We talked about it a little bit. Lots of upsets in the area as the number 2 team, Northwest, falls to Seneca Valley 14-7. Also, the number 4 team, Westfield, falls to South County 26-19. Also, number 6, St. John's falls to Steubenville of Ohio by a 22-14 count tonight. Elsewhere, it was number 9, Stonebridge, falling to Madison 35-24. And also an upset and a little bit farther down the poll, at number 16, Douglas, they fell to Riverdale Baptist by a score of 17-8. Heard from head coach of Riverdale, Caesar Nettles. If you want to hear that one again, catch it on the replay. This one will be available at DMVStream.com. Check out our blog page to go ahead and take a listen to that one. Really another very good show tonight. 4 real good coaches after what were some very big wins for those squads. Couple late scores to pass along to you. It was H.D. Woodson falling to Coatesville of Pennsylvania 28-7. Landon matching it with a public school. The Bears beat Whitman 48-26. Don't have a score, but we have confirmation that C.H. Flowers did beat High Point. That'll be Cato June's first win with Flowers since leaving from Anacostia. It was Mount Hebron over Centennial 14-13 tonight. Calvert beats Huntingtown 27-0. over in Virginia. A couple late scores over there as well. Freedom of Woodbridge over Osborne Park, 34-17. Mountain View with win over Garfield tonight, 48-22. Strasburg High School out in the Shenandoah Valley, they beat Riverside of Loudoun 27-6. It was Dominion over Rockridge of Loudoun County, 57-13. Elsewhere, it was North Stafford beating Stonewall Jackson 35-21. Oakton with a shutout win over TC Williams. TC looking for a little bit nice start to their season, but Oakton, the Cougars, get the win 24-0. Quickly, want to go ahead and look at the rest of the action for the weekend. A lot of games tomorrow, actually, to pay attention to. A lot of games gotten catch. A lot of 2 o'clock starts as well. 12 o'clock start, Murray and Theodore Roosevelt. That one at Roosevelt again, a 12 o'clock start. At 1 o'clock, Friendship Collegiate travels to Calvert Hall of Baltimore. It'll be Georgetown Prep at Fork Union, a 1:30 start. Then all the rest of these 2 o'clock starts. St. Albans hosting Anacostia, part of the Pigskin Classic in D.C. Cesar Chavez, they will be at Fairmont Heights at 2 o'clock. Gwynn Park hosts Crossland at 2. Largo at Surrattsville, 2 o'clock start. Eleanor Roosevelt hosting Laurel, 2 o'clock. Also, it'll be McNamara hosting Liberty Christian, a 2 o'clock start. 2 o'clock for Norcom and Potomac of Maryland. Also, 2 o'clock start, Duval, as they are ranked. They go ahead and host Northwestern. O'Connell goes to Bishop Ireton at 2 o'clock. Bowie hosts Oxon Hill at 2. Poolesville at Wheaton at 2. Quantico at Hampton Roads Academy, 2 o'clock start. Bladensburg hosts Suitland at 2. Thomas Johnson at Forestville at 2. Episcopal on the road, 2:30 start. They'll take on Hill School of Pennsylvania. St. Stephen, St. Agnes, they'll host Mercersburg Academy at 2:30. Also a 7 o'clock start tomorrow night, as it'll be South River, as they will host Westminster. That's going to go ahead and do it for us here on the final drive here on DMVSTREAM.com. Again, another great night when it comes to a great night of high school football. A lot of upsets to talk about tonight. Also, lots of folks joining us on the show. Again, want to say our thank yous for the show tonight. Want to thank Heritage head coach Reed Prosser, also Seneca Valley head coach Fred Kim, the head coach of Pilate Ian Thomas, and also head coach of Riverdale Baptist Cesar Nettles for joining us on the show tonight. It was another great show. Glad to bring it to you again here on DMV Stream. Again, I'll have a show for you again next week. We'll take 2 weeks from now. We'll be off, as I'll be in the booth calling, which should be a great one. Westfield and Stonebridge, of course, both those teams taking their first losses of the season, but of course, 2 good coaches in Kyle Simmons and Mickey Thompson should have their teams back on the road to redemption very, very soon. Again, you want to go ahead, get in touch with us, do it. Tweet us at DMV Stream, hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. Let us know what you think about the show. Pass along some ideas as well. Love to hear from you. Again, love bringing you all this stuff here on DMV Stream. So I'm Jeremy Huber. For everyone that's helped bring you this show tonight, thank you very much. Again, we'll see you next week right here on the Final Drive on DMVStream.com.